Happy Homebrew Wednesday, folks. Ryan Patrick Murphy here, drinking a little bittersweet blonde. Ah, that is good stuff right there. So I have a little bit of a problem that was brought to my attention. Well, it was someone who made a good point about a problem that I brought to my own attention, I guess. That the first two beers that I've put in my keg, while they've tasted good, they could have been better. And they have a very kind of similar taste to each other, and they really weren't supposed to. And I cleaned everything out. So, I mean, it's not because I didn't sanitize or clean it. I ran PBW through there and Star San and all that. So it's not an infection sort of taste. But what was I going to say? My dad. Just talking to my dad a while back, and he made it a point. He said, well, when you're kegging your beer, you're not aging it anymore because you're going straight to CO2 and you're force carbonating it and got under pressure for about 3 days. Well, when I've been bottling stuff, it's had 2 weeks in the warm to age a little bit, taste better. Those Cooper's kits, you really need about 3 weeks on them. And I mean, I haven't done a Cooper's kit in my keg yet, but I'm probably going to after this, but more on that later. When I keg, it ends up, going under pressure right away, but it's also going in the fridge, so it's getting cold, and that kind of slows down the aging process from what I understand, because the yeast start going dormant, and they're not really doing much work anymore, and they're just kind of, meh. I had some thoughts on how I could solve this problem. One of them was maybe I could batch prime into the keg. So pour some sugar in there and just seal it up. Maybe run a little CO2 from the tank into the keg to get some oxygen out. But I've heard or read some things, I don't know if they're true, that as the beer starts absorbing the CO2, the pressure in the keg could drop, which might open up the seals, and then CO2 would just leak out, so it wouldn't really carbonate anything. It'd just be flat. I don't know if that's true or not. And the other thought I had, well, why don't I just put a lot of pressure on the keg and then disconnect the tank and just let it sit out for a few weeks? And so that has a headspace of CO2 above the beer. Well, then I run into the same thing. What happens when the beer starts absorbing that CO2? I don't really know what to do here. I could just leave the beer or the keg pressurized, keep it on the tank, and just have it, low pressure for 2 weeks, and then a few days before I'm ready to drink, turn it up, throw it in the keezer. That could work, I suppose. I don't know. Have any of you had this issue? If so, comment below. I've got some good advice from you guys. So, what's going in the keg after this? Well, my keg was getting a little light, so I decided to brew up the Mexican cerveza that I had ordered. So that's fermenting away right now. It might be done. Well, no, it's only been about 2 days. It's probably still going. What else? Oh, I had bought another beer kit because I really wanted to brew the stout that I had made, but they didn't have the ingredients yet. The homebrew shop didn't have the ingredients that I wanted yet. I wanted a very specific liquid malt extract, and I'll probably talk about that at a later time I get closer to actually brewing that recipe. So I bought a Brewer's Best kit. Let's go see what that is. So let's look at what I got. I got the Brewer's Best India Pale Ale, or IPA as fancy folk call it. Let's read the little description on it. We use plenty of hops to accent this popular style. From the bittering to the flavoring to the aroma hops, we create the perfect balance for this clean, crisp pale ale. Brewer's Best has a few IPAs. And the brew shop alone had 3 of them today. One was there was this one, Falconer's Flight IPA, which I would like to try at some time, but I didn't want to spend the extra money on it. It does cost a little more. And the double IPA, which I think CraigTube has done a video on. So I'm thinking about maybe doing a video on this. I'm not sure yet, but let's see what we got inside here. This is the first time I've opened this. I have no idea what's in here. With some crushed Victory malt. Okay. I haven't seen them put grains in multiple bags before. And some crushed caramel 40. So, you know, it's a very simple beer. Oh, it's a whole pound of it too. So we got half a pound of crushed Victory and a pound of caramel. Nice. Sorry, I just ran up the stairs. I'm really thirsty. Alright, what do we got for our yeast? Oh, this is actually not a yeast I thought it was. I was assuming it would be Nottingham or something. It's actually Dry 97 American West Coast. I've never used that before. That could be interesting. I think this month I've used a couple of yeasts now I've never used. I think the last one was the Belgian IPA. Yeah, I think it was a Saison yeast I had never used before. So I'd never done a Saison or a Belgian before. So we have 1.5 ounce of Cascade, another ounce of Cascade, and 2 ounces of Columbus. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a hoppy beer here. The Columbus, 2 ounces, is 16.3% alpha acid, and the Cascades are 7.1%. Good deal. You know, Brewer's Best bottle caps, because you can never have too many of those. Let's see here. We have a can of light Mutton's malt extract. Actually, there's 2 of them. And a pound of Golden Light dry malt extract. And that's it. The brew shop guy said that all these IPAs that Brewer's Best does not have a dry hopping. Let's confirm. I'm fairly sure he's correct. Yep. No dry hopping. Which he was trying to tell me that I should probably get some more hops to dry hop, but I don't know if I'm going to do that. It's a really good idea. I think it's a great idea. And I may do that, but I'm not sure yet. I told him I didn't have to decide now, because I'll probably change my mind 3 or 4 times. I may just try to do it to see what it turns out. You know me, I always like to do a recipe the way it's meant to be done. And then try to change it later if I don't like it. Or if I thought it could be better. Yeah. Can't really smell the grains, but I just love the smell of grains, even though I can't really smell them through this plastic. It was a lot more fun when you're in the grain room somewhere. So, get that all in there. The next thing I got was a new fermenter. I'm about trying to retire my old plastic buckets with these BSG buckets for one reason only. I probably won't get rid of them, but it was usually I always have one of my old, like the ale pails and the Northern Brewer buckets. Usually at least one of those is always full of Star San. Oh, I forgot to put the yeast in the box. But unless you have a lot of activity, fermentation, you don't ever see anything come out of the bucket or the airlock. So these BSG buckets come with a lid that has a rubber seal in them. Do you seal that? That was terrible. So that should keep the air from trying to escape out the side, which really, it's not a bad thing that they don't hold in all the pressure and force out the airlock, because, you have CO2, and if it's constantly coming out, air is going to get sucked in. But it really sucks when, like, the first time I homebrewed, and not seeing the airlock do anything, I was freaked out. I was like, it's not working. And that's when I came up with the flashlight trick of, you get a bright flashlight, like one of these, maybe, or a mag light or something, or probably any flashlight would work. And on those other buckets with the white lids, the ale pails, you just turn the light on. And I think the brighter the light, the better. And then you put it in the lid, and you can see the krausen on the inside. So then you know something's gone on. Once I found that trick out, I didn't get nearly as worked up about it. But it'd still be nice to actually hear the bubbles every once in a while. Nothing like the sound of a bubbling fermenter. And I got another airlock, because airlocks are awesome, and you should have as many as possible. Also got a package today. I ordered another Mexican cerveza, Cooper's Mexican cerveza, so I will probably put that together at some point. And hope. Alright, so that's exciting. Had to get a little refill while you guys were watching me of the past. This is the pale ale that I came up with, the mini match that I don't think I was successful on. It actually tastes okay. I don't believe the alcohol level is too high. There's a very faint aroma from the hops, which probably is from the Autumn hops, which are really good from aroma hop. I highly recommend it. Beautiful color though, isn't it? I mean, it looks really good. I would get the stupid flashlight, but we know how. Oh, there it is. It's not clear. If anything, it's definitely hazy. It just came out of the fridge. But not a total failure, but it's pretty. It doesn't even have the hop profile that I tasted when I first put these in the pigs either, which is a little disappointing. Probably lost a little of that over a couple weeks, I guess. But it's carbonated well. It's drinkable. Has a bite to it. A little bit of a spiciness. I can't even remember what I used for hops on this. See if I can pull this up. This is one that I'm probably going to convert to extract at some point and just do it again to feel like I've made a successful batch of beer at some point. Ryan's Pale Ale. So what did we use here? Oh, Cascade, Chinook, and Autumn. So my guess is that this kind of spice is coming from the Cascade, because I was put at 30 minutes. Anyway, also Beersmith, not quite the color that I was expecting. A little darker, a little redder. But they use a kind of a fake image on Beersmith, so it gets close. But it looks good. I think it looks good, and I hope if I make it as an extract, it turns out better. Probably more malt in there, and we'll, I don't know, balance things out really well. What else do we have? I think that's it. Next week, I should be able to start tasting what was the last thing I bottled? The Belgian IPA. I'll open that up probably Friday, and I'm sorry for slamming on the table. I know I shouldn't do that. I need to get a stand for this with the shock absorber. What else? Friday I bottled the Cooper's Draft. So I'll probably open one for Homebrew Wednesday next week. Check it out. Gotta see how that stuff's going, folks. It's only been in the bottle for a week, but you gotta see how it's going. If it's a total swill, you don't want to waste your time with that. Am I right? Empty those bottles then. But yeah, I'm all right with this. It could be better, but you know the mash. I screwed up the mash. I probably just came in too hot. That's it. And there goes Facebook, because I always get pestered on Facebook when I'm recording. One of these days I will remember to log out. Anyway, happy Homebrew Wednesday. And if you have an empty fermenter, you're doing it wrong. See you next week, folks. Cheers. 17.